Our first regional finalist, if you would join us here on stage, Abigail Van Luling. Abby spends a lot of time singing in district and statewide festivals, performing in musicals, and doing work with the Community Service Club.
I didn't anticipate getting this far, but it has been a lot of fun, so I'm not upset that I made it this far, because I've really enjoyed it.
We trample underfoot the food of gods and spill their nectar in each drop of dew.
It was an opportunity at my school that just happened to arise, so I thought it would be interesting to try.
I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane.
I feel like I can step into another world and put myself in that place.
My favorite poem is the Snow Day one. It's really relatable.
The Tom Thumb Child Center, all closed. Along with Clap Your Hands, the Peanuts Play School.
I connect to the poems on a whole different level. I feel as though they're my own poem.
She walks in beauty, like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies.
So I find reciting poetry is a lot like singing for me. I love poems that play with language or words.
Blue of the helium bubble of love lost, blue of the whirlwind, the blue being again.
I think understanding and comprehending poetry has really developed throughout this whole thing.
An entire art to poetry recitation that I didn't realize.
There were some really funny poems that you could find. Where, oh where do the wild things go? To rehab in high school.
I think that it gives kids a chance to express their ideas.
You're really not just giving a speech to a crowd, like you're connecting with them, so it's not really as difficult as it may seem.
It really gives students a sense of confidence. Not only beneficial for the kids, but also beneficial for you as a person.
You are watching the Maine Poetry Out Loud State Finals on Boothbay Region Television. This program is being televised before a live audience from the Waterville Opera House in downtown Waterville, Maine.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charles Stanhope. I'm the chair of the Maine Arts Commission. It's my honor and privilege to welcome all of you here to our event this afternoon. I want to welcome our regional champions, their parents, their fellow students, their family members and friends and neighbors who've come to be supportive of them as they have been all through this process up until today. This is the 2018 Poetry Out Loud Maine State Finals, sponsored by the Endowment for the Arts, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Poetry Foundation, and in collaboration with your Maine Arts Commission. This year we're celebrating 13 years of this marvelous event, and we're very proud to continue our partnership in this program. It's one of the events I look forward to every year. It's a highlight on my calendar. It's one of the best afternoons I spend in the arts and arts education communities. The creativity and the dedication and the inspiration that the young people living around us are bringing into the world, and it only sets our sights high for what they're going to continue to accomplish based on this experience and the other pursuits that they have in their lives. And we're happy that the Arts Commission gets a chance to partner with the schools to give them these opportunities. This afternoon, we're celebrating a group of outstanding student reciters. They are competing to represent Maine at the National Finals of Poetry Out Loud. The competition will be in Washington, D.C. next month, where the national winner will have a chance to win up to a $20,000 cash award. These students have arrived at this moment, this afternoon, after progressively excelling in their classroom, school, and regional competitions. They've risen to the top from over 9,500 high school students in 39 high schools across the state, and they've been led and encouraged and guided by almost 200 teachers. Now I'm going to ask our regional finalists to come up onto the stage as I read their names and their schools. And one other thing you should all realize, as proud as we are of all of them, we're proud of Maine and Maine's role in this competition over the years. We have one of the highest participation rates from our high schools as compared to other states across the country. So we're really pleased that it's rooted in the school systems and the departments. So beginning with our champions from across Maine, Abigail Van Luling is here from Gorham High School. Hannah Lavinson is here from Messalonsky High School in Oakland. Lauren Farmer joins us from Rangeley Lakes Regional School. Next, we have Emma Lombardo from Westbrook High School. Nelson Peterson is here from Oak Hill High School. Lydia Karen represents Bangor High School this afternoon. Wyatt Bates represents Yarmouth High School. Richard Hilscher represents North Yarmouth Academy. Lauren Dodge is here from Lee Academy. Catherine Kemper brings greetings from the Camden Hills Regional High School. And last but not least, Alan Manga is here from Deering High School. Students, we are really inspired by your dedication to the recitation process, to your hard work, to your ability to bring the written word alive, to your comprehension of great poetry. Remember that as regional champions, you all are already winners. You've accomplished so much to be here this afternoon. We're proud of every one of you. Congratulations, and we look forward to listening to you this afternoon. Thanks. Yep, you guys can go back. Watch those creaky stairs. I want to extend our thanks and appreciation to the judges who are seated in the back of the theater, who've already spent time getting ready for their important role this afternoon. So as the afternoon proceeds, the judges will need a little bit of time to complete their responsibilities with each participant, so there'll be a slight pause between the recitations. And now it's my honor once again to turn the microphone over to a voice that's become a voice of Maine. Those of you who are in school may not have the chance to hear that voice in the afternoon, but maybe you hear the repeat in the evening. Jennifer Rooks is here once again, guiding us through the events. She's the public affairs host and producer at Maine Public. And we thank her very much for coming and doing this important work with us this afternoon. Help me welcome Jennifer.
Can you all hear me? Oh, yeah. So thank you. I'm really honored to be here at the Poetry Out Loud State Finals. I had no idea of those numbers from 9,500 down to 12. You all ought to be really, really proud of yourselves, no matter what happens today. Wow. And what a beautiful day for this. The sun is shining down, unlike last week. It's almost warm outside. We can feel spring. And we're in this beautiful, historic opera house. We're going to get right to it, but I want to say to all of you, one thing that you may not realize about the poems that you've memorized for this process, for the Poetry Out Loud Finals, is that these poems are now a part of you, and they will be a part of you for the rest of your lives. You'll be going through experiences in your life, and they will remind you of a line in a poem that you memorized in high school for the State Poetry Out Loud Finals, or you'll recite them to your children or grandchildren. And so know that these poems are more than a contest. They're now a part of you, and aren't you lucky to have them as a part of you? And I hope that you'll feel that as you go through your life. Each student has selected 3 poems, one for each round. One poem must have been written before the 20th century, and one must be 25 lines or fewer. A single poem may fulfill both requirements. Judging will be based on accuracy, physical presence, voice and articulation, dramatic appropriateness, evidence of understanding, and overall performance. Today we have 3 rounds of recitation. The order will commence in a randomly selected order that was determined in advance and that will be honored for all 3 rounds. Each of our regional champions will recite in the first and second rounds. After the second round of poems, we will have a brief intermission and before we proceed to the final round with those selected as state finalists. After the final round, we will hear from Adrian Blevins, a poet and associate professor of English at Colby College, and that's going to happen while the judges complete the final tally of the scores. Then we announce the 2018 Maine State Champion and runner-up and provide certificates to all the regional finalists. The Maine State Champion will receive $200 and a $500 stipend for the purchase of poetry books for the winner's school. The runner-up will receive $100 with $200 for his or her school library. The state champion will also receive an all-expense-paid trip with a chaperone to compete in the national finals in Washington, D.C. on April 23rd to 25th. The Poetry Out Loud National Finals will award a total of $50,000 in cash awards and school stipends. Now I'd like to begin. Our first regional finalist, if you would join us here on stage, Abigail Van Luling. Abby spends a lot of time singing in district and statewide festivals, performing in musicals, and doing work with a community service club. After college or university, she aspires to become an international businesswoman working with nonprofit organizations.
Please Don't, by Tony Hoagland. Please don't tell the flowers. They think the sun loves them. The grass is under the same simple-minded impression about the rain, the fog, the dew. And when the wind blows, it feels so good. They lose control of themselves and swab toggle wildly around, bumping accidentally into their slender neighbors. Forgetful little lotus eaters, solar-powered hydroholics drawing nourishment up through stems into their thin green skin, high on the expensive chemistry of mitochondrial explosion, believing that the dirt loves them, the night, the stars. Reaching down a little deeper with their pale albino roots, all Dizzy Gillespie with the utter sufficiency of everything. They don't imagine lawnmowers, the 4 stomachs of the cow, or human beings with boots, who stop to marvel at their exquisite flexibility and color. They persist in their soft-headed hallucination of happiness. But please, don't mention it. Not yet. Tell me, what would you possibly gain from being right?
Our next reciter is Hannah Levinson from Messalonsky High School. Hannah is most interested in entering into some type of field that involves foreign language or elementary education.
Epitaph by Catherine Phillips. On her son H.P. at St. Sith's Church, where her body also lies interred. What on earth deserves our trust? Youth and beauty both are dust. Long we gathering are with pain. What one moment calls again? 7 years childless marriage past. A son is born at last, so exactly limbed and fair, full of good spirits, mien and air, as a long life promised. Yet, in less than 6 weeks, dead. Too promising, too great a mind in so small room to be confined. Therefore, as fit in heaven to dwell, he quickly broke the prison shell. So the subtle alchemist can't with Hermes' seal resist the powerful spirit's subtler flight, but 'twill bid him long good night. And so the sun, if it arise, half so glorious as his eyes, like this infant, takes a shroud, buried in a morning cloud.
Our Our next reciter is Lauren Farmer from Rangeley Lakes Regional School. Lauren loves photography, creative writing, reading, and reading some more. You're not the only one. She is constantly reminding herself to keep reading, writing, living, and dreaming.
I like reciting poems because I feel like I can step into another world and put myself in that place. I definitely tap into the drama aspect of it. I used to think that reciting poetry was just like reading it off the page and then memorizing it, but it ended up being way more than what that was. It's got the acting aspect, but a lot of it is tapping into your emotions and how you see the poem.
Midnight Office by Cynthia Cruz. The child is not dead, she is sleeping, gone from this world which is broken. The angel of Michael outside the garden, his circle of fire maddening around the tree. He put the word back into her, a heavy kind of music. Then she was free, as we all are. All night I stood in the icy wind, praying for the storm to destroy me. But the wind blew through me like I was a hologram. If you say I am a mystic, then fine, I'm a mystic. The trees are not trees anyway.
Next is Emma Lombardo from Westbrook High School. Emma's very interested in music and hopes to incorporate this into a career that allows her to work with people to help benefit their futures. She volunteers in the nursery of her church and also at the middle school as part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Southern Maine.
I guess last year I do music, and so it's all about like sharing your emotions and connecting with your audience, and so I just kind of brought that into this, and I just think it's interesting to take your music perspective and also take like a different perspective, like in language, and be able to represent that the way you represent music. And this year I just found a poem that I could really relate to. So yeah.
So what poem do you relate to the most out of the three you've chosen?
Probably The Gaff by C.K. Williams. It's just kind of about grief, and our community lost someone that a lot of people were close to this year, so that was just kind of how I related to the poem, and it made it a strong connection for me.
The Gaff by C.K. Williams. 1. If that someone who's me, yet not me, yet who judges me is always with me, as he is, shouldn't he have been there when I said so long ago that thing I said? If he who rakes me with such not trivial shame for minor sins now were there then, shouldn't he have warned me he'd even now devastate me for my unpardonable affront? I'm a child then, yet already I've composed this conscience beast who harries me. Is there anything else I can say with certainty about who I was, except that he could already draw from infinitesimal transgressions complex chords of remorse and orchestrate ever undiminishing retribution from the hapless rest of myself? 2. The son of some friends of my parents has died, and my parents, paying their call, take me along, and I'm sent out with the dead boy's brother and some others to play. We're joking around, and some words come to my mind, which, to my amazement, are said. How do you know when you can laugh when somebody dies? Your brother dies. is what's said. And the others go quiet, the backyard goes quiet. Everyone stares. And I want to know now why that someone in me, who's me, yet not me, let me say it. Shouldn't he have told me the contrition cycle would from then be ever upon me? It didn't matter that I'd really only wanted to know how grief ends and when. 3. I could hear the boy's mother sobbing inside, then stopping, sobbing, then stopping. Was the end of her grief already there? Had her someone in her told her it would end? Was her someone in her kinder to her, not tearing at her as mine did, still does, me? For guessing grief someday ends? Is that why her sobbing stops sometimes? She didn't laugh, though, or I never heard her. How do you know when you can laugh? Why couldn't someone have been there in me, not just to accuse me, but to explain? The kids were playing again. I was playing. I didn't hear anything more from inside. The way now sometimes what's in me is silent too. And sometimes, though never really, forgets.
Our next reciter, Nelson Peterson from Oak Hill High School. Nick's interests include drama club and psychology. He aspires to go to medical school to become a psychiatrist.
Rondeau by Leigh Hunt. Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time. You thief, who love to get sweets into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm sad. Say that health and wealth have missed me. Say I'm growing old. But add, Jenny kissed me.
Our next reciter is Wyatt Bates from Yarmouth High School. Wyatt's interests include track and singing.
The Obligation to be Happy by Linda Paston. It is more onerous than the rights of beauty or housework, harder than love. But you expect it of me casually, the way you expect the sun to come up, not in spite of rain or clouds, but because of them. And so I smile, as if my own fidelity to sadness were a hidden vice, that downward tug on my mouth, my old suspicion that health and love are brief irrelevancies, no more than laughter in the warm dark strangled at dawn. Happiness. I tried to hoist it on my narrow shoulders again. A knapsack, heavy, with gold coins. I stumble around the house, bump into things. Only Midas himself would understand.
Our next reciter, Richard Hilscher from North Yarmouth Academy. Rick is interested in acting and theater, and he particularly loves improv and sketch comedy. He will attend Northwestern University in the fall.
Requests for Toy Piano by Tony Hoagland. Play the one about the family of the ducks, where the ducks go down to the river, and one of them thinks the water will be cold, but then they jump in anyway and like it and splash around. No. I must play the one about the nervous man from Palestine in row 14 with a brown bag in his lap in which a gun is hidden in a sandwich. Play the one about the handsome man and woman standing on the steps of her apartment, and how the darkness and her perfume and the beating of their hearts conjoin to make them feel like leaping from the edge of chance. No. I should play the one about the hard rectangle of the credit card hidden in the man's back pocket, and how the woman spent an hour plucking out her brows, and how her perfume was made from the destruction of 100 flowers. Then play the one about the flower industry, in which the migrant workers cursed their own infected hands from tossing sheaves of roses and carnations into the back of the refrigerated trucks. No. I must play the one about the single yellow daffodil standing on my kitchen table, whose cut stem draws the water upwards, so the plant is flushed with the conviction that the water has been sent to find and raise it up from somewhere so deep inside the earth, not even flowers can remember.
Our next reciter, Lauren Dodge from Lee Academy. Lauren has a passion for the arts, reading, and for working along younger students. She aspires to become an English teacher as well as an author one day.
The thing that excited me the most was the performance part, because I do a lot of drama and I love to perform. There's an entire art to poetry recitation that I didn't realize. I thought it was more just memorizing and then like speaking it back and making it sound pretty, but it's about your physical presentation, it's about your articulation with your voice, it's about just, you can't miss even the smallest words, and it's an entire art within itself I didn't even realize existed.
13 Ways of Looking at a Blackbird by Wallace Stevens. 1. Among 20 snowy mountains, the only moving thing was the eye of the blackbird. 2. I was of 3 minds, like a tree in which there are 3 blackbirds. 3. The blackbird whirled in the autumn winds. It was a small part of the pantomime. 4. A man and a woman are one. A man and a woman and a blackbird are one. 5. I do not know which to prefer, the beauty of inflections or the beauty of innuendos, the blackbird whistling, or just after. 6. Icicles filled the long window with barbaric glass. The shadow of the blackbird crossed it, to and fro. The mood traced in the shadow an indecipherable cause. 7. Oh, thin men of Haddam, why do you imagine golden birds? Do you not see how the blackbird walks around the feet of the women about you? 8. I know noble accents and lucid, inescapable rhythms, but I know too that the blackbird is involved in what I know. 9. When the blackbird flew out of sight, it marked the edge of one of many circles. 10. At the sight of blackbirds flying in a green light, even the bawds of euphony would cry out sharply. 11. He rode over Connecticut in a glass coach. Once, a fear pierced him in that he mistook the shadow of his equipage for blackbirds. 12. The river is moving. The blackbird must be flying. 13. It was evening all afternoon. It was snowing and it was going to snow. The blackbird sat in the cedar limbs.
Our next reciter, Catherine Kemper from Camden Hills Regional High School. Kate loves singing and drawing with colored pencils, and she is a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's very interested in physics and astronomy.
It was an opportunity at my school that just happened to arise, and I have a little bit of a background in kind of being on stage and some public speaking, so I thought it would be interesting to try. And then I got really into it, and it turned out to be really fun, so I started working harder at it. I think it really gives students a sense of confidence for the most part. I think it's a really great experience to just kind of be up on stage and just kind of try new things and, you know, just work it out and try different ways of saying poems. It's been a really fun experience.
Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street. But not to call me back or say goodbye. And further still, at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither wrong nor right. I have been one acquainted with the night.
Our next reciter, Alan Manga from Deering High School. Alan's interests include sports and fitness, family, and aviation. He was born and raised in Zambia and speaks 8 languages.
The Song of the Smoke by W.E.B. Du Bois. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am swinging in the sky. I am ringing worlds awry. I am the thought of the throbbing males. I am the soul of the soul toil kills. Wraith of the ripple of treading rills, up I'm curling from the sod. I am whirling home to God. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am weaving broken hearts. I am sheathing love's light darts. Inspiration of iron times, within the toil of toiling climes, shedding the blood of bloodless crimes. Lurid, lowering met the blue, torrid, towering towards the true. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am darkening with song. I am hearkening to wrong. I will be black as blackness can. The blacker the mantle, the mightier the man. For blackness was ancient and whiteness began. I am daubing God in night. I am swabbing hell in white. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am the smoke king. I am black. I am cursing ruddy morn. I am hearsing hearts and bone. Souls unto me are her stars in the night. I whiten my black men, I blacken my white. What's the hue of a high to a man in his might? Hell, great, greedy, grimy hands, sweet Christ, pity toiling lands. I am the smoke king. I am black.
Don't put your hands in your pockets. We're going to give another round of applause to all of our student reciters from round one. And now we move directly into round two, after which we will have a brief intermission. So let's welcome back to the stage Abigail Van Luling. She's a senior in the 12th grade at Gorham High School. Abby's favorite subjects in school are Latin, math, and the musical arts.
I didn't anticipate getting this far, but it has been a lot of fun, so I'm not upset that I made it this far because I've really enjoyed it. When I perform like in a show, I'm acting as a character and it's a little bit easier to throw away all nerves, but with this, I was a little more nervous because like it's myself, it's my own character that I'm putting forward, and so I think that definitely through performing at my school and at regionals, I've gained sort of more confidence in presenting myself as opposed to presenting like a character. My favorite of the three I do is Zacuan Papalotos by Brenda Cardenas, and I love that one because it has some Spanish in it, and it's very unique and it's very fun to perform. So,
Zacuan Papalotos by Brenda Cardenas, in memory of Jose Antonio Burciaga, 1947 to 1996. We are chameleons. We become chameleon. Jose Antonio Burciaga. We are space between, the black-orange blur of a million monarchs on their two-generation migration south to fur-crowned Michoacan, where tree trunks will sprout feathers, a forest of paper-thin wings. Our Mexica cocooned in the membranes de la madre tierra, say we are reborn Zacuan Papalotos, mariposas negras y anaranjadas, in whose sweep the dead whisper. We are between, the flicker of a chameleon's tail that turns his desert blue backbone to jade or pink sand, the snake-skinned fraternal twins of solstice and equinox. The ashen dawn, silvering dusk, la oración as it leaves the lips, the tug from sleep, the glide into dream, that husk-out mestizo memory. We are one life, passing through the prism of all others, gathering color and song, cempasúchil and drum, to leave a rhythm scattered on the wind, dust tinting on the tips of fingers as we slip into our new light.
Hannah Lavinson, a 10th grader at Messalonsky High School. Hannah really enjoys her literature and Latin classes at school. She writes that her Poetry Out Loud experience has broadened her view not only of poetry, but also of the people who take an interest in it, and that the people she has met have inspired her to constantly do better.
Well, my teacher came up to me, and I wrote poems as a final for one of my projects, and she realized that I liked poetry, so she offered me a spot to compete at the school, and I took it. My favorite poem is the Snow Day one. It's really relatable. It talks about schools closing and just walking your dog through the drifts and just admiring the beauty and also just kind of taking it all in as just something light and fun.
Snow Day by Billy Collins. Today, we woke up to a revolution of snow, its white flag waving over everything. The landscape vanished. Not a single mouse to punctuate the blankness. And beyond these windows, the government buildings smothered, the schools and libraries buried, the post office under the noiseless drift, the paths of trains softly blocked, the world fallen under this falling. In a while, I will put on some boots and step out like someone walking in water, and the dog will porpoise through the drifts, and I will shake a laden branch, sending a cold shower down on us both. But for now, I'm a willing prisoner in this house, a sympathizer with the anarchic cause of snow. I will make a pot of tea and listen to the plastic radio on the counter, as glad as anyone to hear the news that the Kitty Corner School is closed, the Ding Dong School closed, the All Aboard Children's Center closed, the Hi-Ho Nursery School closed, along with, some will be delighted to hear, the Toadstool School, the Little School, Little Sparrow's Nursery School, Little Stars Preschool, Peas and Carrots Day School, the Tom Thumb Child Center, all closed, along with, clap your hands, the Peanuts Play School. So, this is where the children hide all day. These are the nests where they letter and draw, where they put on their bright miniature jackets, all darting and climbing and sliding. All but the few girls whispering by the fence. And now, I'm listening hard in the grandiose silence of the snow, trying to hear what those 3 girls are plotting. What riot is afoot? Which small queen is about to be brought down?
Our next reciter, Lauren Farmer, who's a 10th grader at Rangeley Lakes Regional School. In school, Lauren truly enjoys English, advanced graphics, and Spanish. After having watched the entire Poetry Out Loud process last year, from the classroom to the stage to attending the Northern Regional Finals, she was very excited to find her voice for this year's competition.
In School Days by John Greenleaf Whittier. Still sits the schoolhouse by the road, a ragged beggar sleeping. Around it still the sumacs grow and blackberry vines are creeping. Within, the master's desk is seen, deep scarred by raps official. The warping floor, the battered seats, the jackknife's carved initial. The charcoal frescoes on its wall, its door's worn sill, betraying the feet that creeping slow to school went storming out to playing. Long years ago, a winter sun shone over it at setting, lit up its western window panes and low eaves' icy fretting. It touched the tangled golden curls and brown eyes full of grieving, of one who still her steps delayed when all the school were leaving. For near her stood the little boy her childish favor singled, his cap pulled low upon a face where pride and shame were mingled. Pushing with restless feet the snow to right and left, he lingered, as restlessly her tiny hands the blue-checked apron fingered. He saw her lift her eyes. He felt the soft hands light caressing, and heard the tremble of her voice, as if a fault confessing. I'm sorry that I spelt the word. I hate to go above you, because the brown eyes lower fell. Because you see, I love you. Still memory to a gray-haired man that sweet child face is showing. Dear girl, the grasses on her grave have 40 years been growing. He lives to learn in life's hard school how few who pass above him lament their triumph and his loss, like her, because they love him.
Our next reciter, Emma Lombardo, an 11th grader at Westbrook High School. Emma's favorite academic subjects are math, English, and psychology. In Poetry Out Loud this year, she came across a poem that spoke to her in a significant way and had a message she could personally relate to, which changed her entire Poetry Out Loud experience.
Mingus at the Showplace by William Matthews. I was miserable, of course, for I was 17. And so I swung into action and wrote a poem. And it was miserable, for that was how I thought poetry worked. You digested experience and shat literature. It was 1960 at the Showplace, long since defunct, on West 4th Street, and I sat at the bar, casting beer money from a thin reel of ones. The kid in the city, big ears like a puppy. And I knew Mingus was a genius. I knew 2 other things, but they were wrong, as it happened. So I made him look at the poem. There's a lot of that going around, he said. And sweet baby Jesus, he was right. He laughed amiably. He didn't look as if he thought bad poems were dangerous, the way some poets do. If they were baseball executives, they'd plot to destroy sandlots everywhere so that the game could be saved from children. Of course, later that night, he fired his pianist in mid-number and flurried him from the stand. We've suffered a diminuendo in personnel, he explained. And the band played on.
Our next reciter, Nelson Peterson, a 12th grader at Oak Hill High School. Nick's favorite academic subject is English. He writes that Poetry Out Loud is super intense and fun and that he's having a great time participating.
I think understanding and comprehending poetry has really developed throughout this whole thing, because I was first doing it and I had no idea what these poems meant. And then, as I kept working with them, and then eventually they started to make sense, and they're pretty powerful things.
From Space to Time by Carolyn M. Rogers. On a day when we were dark and not so full of light, we met. What did we find? Nothing. Everything. when we closed our eyes, which anyway had never been opened. Once, we thought we loved each other. Who can reverse time? We tried. We stepped out of space into some new step of distance and fell. And not in love.
Next, we have Lydia Karen, a 12th grader at Bangor High School. Lydia's favorite academic subjects are English and biology. Having participated in Poetry Out Loud for the past 4 years, she writes that the program has given her an amazing opportunity to connect poetry with performance and to push herself to love poetry in a new and exciting way.
I love poems that play with language or words or just anything kind of funny that catches the ear. There's just a few little aspects of each poem that I've kind of tried to make smoother, or maybe just take a pause where it's more needed. Throughout the poem, it repeats the word blue probably around 50 times. So it was a challenge knowing how to say that word in a way that doesn't get too repetitive. Just kind of making it flow more nicely and get that build that you want.
Night Magic, Blue Jester by Lorna de Cervantes. After Federico Garcia Lorca. Blue that I love you. Blue that I hate you. Fat blue in the face, disgraced blue that I erase. You lone blue, blue of an alien race. Strong blue, eternally graced. Blue that I know you. Blue that I choose you. Crust blue, chunky blue, moon blue glows that despise you, idolize you. Blue and the band disappears. Blue of the single left dog, blue of the eminent red fog, blue that I glue you to me, you again and again, blue. Blue, blue of the helium bubble of love loss, blue of the whirlwind, the blue being again, blue of the endless rain, blue that I paint you, blue that I knew you. Blue of the blinking lights, blue of the landing at full tilt, blue of the wilt flower of nightfall, blue of the shadow in yellowed windows, blue of the blown and broken glass, blue of the blue line under lines in blue, blue of the ascending nude, blue before the blackness of new blue, of our winsome bedlam, blue of the blue bed alone, blue of the one who looks on, blue of what remains of cement fall, blue of the vague crescent ship sailing, blue of the rainbow of wait, blue that I whore you, blue that I adore you. Blue of the bluest door, blue my painted city. In blue, it blew.
Our next reciter, Wyatt Bates, an 11th grader at Yarmouth High School. Wyatt's favorite school subjects are math and science.
Dirge Without Music by Edna St. Vincent Millay. I am not resigned to the shutting away of loving hearts in the hard ground. So it is, and so it will be, for so it has been, time out of mind. Into the darkness they go, the wise and the lonely, crowned with lilies and with laurel they go. But I am not resigned. Lovers and thinkers, into the earth with you. Be one with the dull, the indiscriminate dust. A fragment of what you felt, of what you knew. A formula, a phrase remains. But the best is lost. The answers, quick and keen. The honest look, the laughter, the love. They are gone. They are gone to feed the roses. Elegant and curled is the blossom, fragrant is the blossom I know. But I do not approve. More precious was the light in your eyes than all the roses in the world. Down, down, down into the darkness of the grave. Gently, they go. The beautiful, the tender, the kind. Quietly they go. The intelligent, the witty, the brave. I know, but I do not approve, and I am not resigned.
Our next reciter, Richard Hilscher, a 12th grader at North Yarmouth Academy. Rick's favorite subjects in school are English and math.
It was, developing an appreciation for poetry and the different forms. I always kind of thought of it as what we had to read in class, like the Shakespeare kind of, not always super interesting poetry. After freshman year, I actually found I really liked it. And so, sophomore, junior, senior year, I worked on finding some more interesting poems. So it's called Where the Wild Things Go, and it's a riff on Where the Wild Things Are, and it's sort of about the main character as he grows up, and it's it's fun, like he's drinking in high school, and then he gets his life together, and it's sort of about him figuring out what it is to be a wild thing in the adult world, which is sort of it was a funny take on it. Where the Wild Things Go by D. Gilson. The night Max wore his wolf suit made him infamous. Bred the child star, never sent to bed. Middle school, Max started drinking. Not in my house, his mother begged. No, 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 wild thing. Max reminded her who bought this condo, who paid for her meds. Freshman year, Max raved, roared his terrible roar, rolled, and almost wound up in a warehouse dead. Where, oh, where do the wild things go? To rehab in high school, to college on residual book sales. Max kept his head down, laughed at drunken frat boys. Bro, let the wild rumpus start. Max said, no thanks, and volunteered for the Peace Corps instead. 2 years in Kenya, 1 in Belarus, the president thought, Max might be of some use. Max moved to Washington, appointed at the State Department a cultural attaché. One important day, Max wore his wolf gray suit, then drove home well past rush hour in a freak snowstorm. Max drove on the deserted beltway, thought it his throne. Yes, Max belted. This is where the wild things roam.
Our next reciter, Lauren Dodge, who's a 12th grader at Lee Academy. Lauren's favorite subjects in school are English and French. She writes that poetry out loud is super fun as well as educational. She has been inspired by both the art of recitation and the poems she has recited.
Song, Go and Catch a Falling Star by John Donne. Go and catch a falling star, get with child a mandrake root, tell me where all past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear mermaids singing, or to keep off envy stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. If thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights till age snow-white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou return'st, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. If thou find'st one, let me know. Such a pilgrimage were sweet. Yet do not, I would not go, though at next door we might meet, though she were true. When you met her, and last, till you write your letter, yet she will be false, ere I come to 2 or 3.
Next, Catherine Kemper, a 10th grader at Camden Hills Regional High School. Kate really enjoys art, physics, and music in school. She finds that participating in the Poetry Out Loud program helps with confidence, acting ability, clear speech, and public speaking.
The Kiss by Robert Graves. Are you shaken? Are you stirred by a whisper of love? Spellbound to a word, does time cease to move till her calm gray eye expands to a sky and the clouds of her hair like storms go by? Then the lips that you have kissed turn to frost and fire, and a white, steaming mist obscures desire. So, back to their birth, fade water, air, earth, and the first power moves over void and dearth. Is that love? No, but death, a passion, a shout, the deep in-breath, the breath roaring out. And once that is flown, you must lie alone, without hope, without life, poor flesh, sad bone.
Our next reciter, Alan Manga, is an 11th grader at Deering High School. Alan's favorite school subjects are math and English. He's excited to be part of this wonderful program and thinks Poetry Out Loud is a wonderful platform for young poets to express themselves and other people's words.
All right, my name is Alan Monga, and I'm representing Deering High School in Portland, Maine. One of my teachers, Miss Callahan, told me about Poetry Out Loud, you know, like it's a recitation program, and you just recite poems and, you know, try to make them your own poems. I connect to the poems on a whole different level. I feel as though they're my own poem. My favorite poem is She Walks in Beauty.
Why?
There's that special girl.
There's that special girl.
There's that special girl I'm always thinking about.
If you were to win, who would you thank?
I got a lot of people to thank if I would win. So first up, Miss Callahan, because she introduced me to this platform, Poetry Out Loud. Mr. Pesani, my English teacher, like every day in the morning, would come in, he would come in, I would come in, go hardcore practice with the poems, yes, and everything. He would, like, you know, go hard on me. And yeah, I just thank him. He's the reason I'm here. I never thought I would make it this far, but look at me today. I'm here at the state finals.
She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron, George Gordon. She walks in beauty, like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to that tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace which waves in every raven tress, or softly lightens o'er her face, where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear the dwelling place. And on that cheek and all that brow, so soft, so calm, yet eloquent. The smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days and goodness spent, a mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent.
That concludes the first part of our program. We're going to have another round of applause for all those phenomenal reciters. Now we have a 10-minute intermission before returning to hear another performance by the Waterville Senior High School Jazz Band, followed by the announcement of the state finalists, and then proceeding to the third and final round of recitations.
The Maine Poetry Out Loud state competition is being brought to you live by Boothbay Region Television and Media Center and the Maine Arts Commission.
Before we announce our state finalists, let's offer a round of applause for all the students here today in recognition of their hard work and superb performances. All right, now we have the state finalists. Our state finalists are Abigail Van Luling, Emma Lombardo, Lydia Karen, Richard Hilscher, Lauren Dodge, and Alan Manga. Congratulations. We'll call Abigail Van Luling onto the stage again. Abigail, a senior at Gorham High School.
Tall Ambrosia by Henry David Thoreau. Among the signs of autumn I perceive the Roman wormwood, called by learned men ambrosia elatior, food for gods. For to impartial science, the humblest weed is as immortal once as the proudest flower sprinkles its yellow dust over my shoes as I cross the now neglected garden. We trample underfoot the food of gods and spill their nectar in each drop of dew. My honest shoes, fast friends that never stray, far from my couch, thus powdered, countrified, bearing many a mile the marks of their adventure. At the post house, disgrace the Gallic gloss of those well-dressed ones who no morning dew nor Roman wormwood ever have been through, who never walk but are transported, rather, for what old crime of theirs I do not gather.
Our next state finalist, Emma Lombardo, an 11th grader at Westbrook High School.
Tall Ambrosia by Henry David Thoreau. Among the signs of autumn, I perceive the Roman wormwood, called by learned men Ambrosia elatior, food for gods. For to impartial science, the humblest weed is as immortal once as the proudest flower. Sprinkles its yellow dust over my shoes as I cross the now neglected garden. We trample underfoot the food of gods and spill their nectar in each drop of dew. My honest shoes, fast friends that never stray far from my couch, thus powdered, countrified, bearing many a mile the marks of their adventure. At the post house, disgrace the Gallic gloss of those well-dressed ones, who no morning dew, nor Roman wormwood, ever have been through, who never walk, but are transported rather. For what old crime of theirs I do not gather.
Our next recitation will be by Lydia Karen, a 12th grader at Bangor High School.
The Windhover by Gerard Manley Hopkins. To Christ our Lord. I caught this morning morning's minion, kingdom of daylight's dauphin, dappled dawn-drawn falcon. In his riding of the rolling level underneath him steady air, and striding high there how he rung upon the rein of a wimpling wing in his ecstasy. Then off forth on swing as a skate's heel sweeps smooth on a bow bend. The hurl and gliding rebuffed the big wind. My heart in hiding stirred for a bird, the achieve of, the mastery of the thing. Brute, beauty and valor and act, oh air, pride, plume, here, buckle. And the fire that breaks from thee then, a billion times told lovelier, more dangerous, oh my chevalier. No wonder of it. Sheer plod makes plow down Cillian shine. And blue bleak embers, ah, my dear, fall, gall themselves, and gash gold vermilion.
Our next recitation, Richard Hilscher, a 12th grader at North Yarmouth Academy.
The Affliction of Richard by Robert Bridges. Love not too much. But how? When thou hast made me such, and dost thy gifts bestow, how can I love too much? Though I must fear to lose and drown my joy in care, with all its thorns, I choose the path of love and prayer. Though thou, I know not why, didst kill my childish trust, that breach with toil did I repair, because I must. And spite of frighting schemes with which the fiends of hell blaspheme thee in my dreams, so far I have hoped well. But what the heavenly key, what marvel in me wrought, shall quite exculpate thee, I have no shadow of thought. What am I that complain? The love from which began my question, sad and vain, justifies thee to man.
Our next recitation, Lauren Dodge, a 12th grader at Lee Academy.
Undivided Attention by Taylor Molly. A grand piano, wrapped in quilted pads by movers, tied up with canvas straps, like classical music's birthday gift to the criminally insane, is gently nudged without its legs out an 8th floor window on 62nd Street. It dangles in April air from the neck of the mover's crane. Chopin's shiny, black lacquer squares and dirty white crisscross patterns hanging like the second to last note of a concerto played on the edge of the seat, the edge of tears, the edge of 8 stories up going over. It's a piano being pushed out of a window and lowered down onto a flatbed truck. And I'm trying to teach math in the building across the street. Who can teach when there are such lessons to be learned? All the greatest common factors are delivered by long-necked cranes and flatbed trucks, or come through everything, even air, like snow. See, snow falls for the first time every year, and every year my students rush to the window as if snow were more interesting than math, which, of course, it is. So please, let me teach like a Steinway, spinning slowly in April air, so almost falling, so hinderingly dangling from the neck of the mover's crane, so on the edge of losing everything. Let me teach like the first snow falling.
Our next recitation, Alan Manga, 11th grader at Deering High School.
In the Desert by Stephen Crane. In the desert, I saw a creature, naked, bestial, who, squatting upon the ground, held his heart in his hands and ate of it. I said, "Is it good, friend?" "It is bitter, bitter," he answered. "But I like it because it is bitter and because it is my heart."
I kind of like this part and I kind of hate this part because what do you think about poetry as being something that is competitive? I mean, it's weird because it's all wonderful and you are all wonderful. So anyway, it is what it is. So I'll just give you a little bit of information. Each student will receive an award and a certificate for his or her participation in today's Poetry Out Loud Maine State Finals. The state champion and runner-up will receive special awards for their accomplishments. In addition, each reciter today will receive a signed copy of Maine poet Don Potter's third collection of poetry entitled Same Old Story. We thank Cavan Carey Press Limited for donating these books. First, I'm going to ask the regional finalists to step forward and receive their awards. So could we please have Hannah Lavinson from Messalonskee High School, Lauren Farmer from Rangeley Lakes Regional School, Nick Peterson from Oak Hill High School, Wyatt Bates from Yarmouth High School, and Catherine Kemper from Camden Hills Regional High School. Okay, so a round of applause for our regional finalists. Now, would you please congratulate state finalists, Abigail Van Luling from Gorham High School, Lydia Karen from Bangor High School, Emma Lombardo from Westbrook High School, and Richard Hilscher from North Yarmouth Academy. The runner-up at this year's 2018 Maine State Poetry Out Loud Finals, Lauren Dodge from Lee Academy. And the winner of the 2018 State Poetry Out Loud Finals, Alan Manga of Deering High School. Thank you to the Maine Arts Commission, the students on this stage, the Waterville Opera House, and everybody in the audience. What a terrific year. Students, stay put. I know there are people who want to take your pictures.
Poetry Out Loud is made possible with funding from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Poetry Foundation in partnership with the Maine Arts Commission. The Maine Poetry Out Loud Recitation Contest is produced and administered by the Maine Arts Commission. Poetry Out Loud encourages students to learn about great poetry through memorization and recitation. This program helps students master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and learn about literary history and contemporary life. To learn more about Poetry Out Loud, visit mainearts.com.